Over to you, Timmy boy. I repeat, it's over to you. I don't know how many times I've felt the panic amongst the West Ham fans this season. The start of the season was the fixtures got announced, and most West Ham fans thought West Ham would pick up any points after 6 games. We picked up points after 6 games, picked up quite a lot of points after 6 games. Then we had a few of the scenarios. We heard players were potentially leaving the club. Lucas Paqueta potentially heading to Man City. That fell through, obviously, because of the situation with his gambling charge that's potentially hanging over him. That didn't happen, and he stayed. We picked up a few other injuries, and the panic set in amongst West Ham fans. Bang, we recovered. We got beat 5-0 by Fulham. The panic set in. We recovered. We got beat 5-1 against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. Unforgivable to some. Even me, unforgivable. What did we do? We recovered. And right now we face the injury crisis that is happening at West Ham. We've got Lucas Paqueta being told yesterday that he was out for 4 weeks with a calf strain or calf injury that's going to have to be getting looked at. We've got the potential news coming in about Jared Bowen not looking great after picking up that knock in the last second of the game against Bristol City, a game that we want to kind of park and forget. We're hearing, obviously, that Kudus has got his person who looks after him, his physio with him, out in African Cup of Nations. He's out there. He's not going to be playing, probably not featuring in the first game for them, for Ghana in the AFCON with a potential injury. We've lost the 3 most creative players we have available to us. The 3 most influential players that West Ham could ask for are not going to be available. Guaranteed, probably for the next couple of games. And I'm not going to lie to you, that absolutely scares me. That absolutely frightens me so much. I mean, let's just talk about it. The total appearances between West Ham's front 3, Kudus, Bowen, and Paqueta, is 75, and a combined total goals and assists is 39. That's us losing our attacking prowess. But sometimes I can't help it and think that when the going gets tough, West Ham tend to rise up to the occasion. Listen, I don't, and I'm not predicting that West Ham will be amazing over the next coming weeks without our best players featuring. But what it does do is it will push the boundaries onto whatever players we've got available. And that's the whole point of a squad. And I know people are disappointed at the level of our squad acquisitions and not having strength and depth. But this is why we've got this geezer in place. And that's why I said it's over to you, Timmy. So it's over to you, Timmy. Because genuinely it is. You think he would be working on targets, which I believe he would be. And he's looking to find those little gems. And I think he is capable of finding those little gems because he's got a history of finding those little gems. He's got a history of finding little gems, little loan deals, loan bargains, and also financial bargains, monies that have to cross the line, money that the club will have to pay to bring these players in, the quality that he's brought in. We can't deny the impact of some of the players he's brought in particular, let's talk about Alvarez and Kudus. Kudus has just hit the ground running. He's a phenomenal player. And if he's the sort of guy that can bring a quality player in like Kudus, then we can't doubt him when he starts to look at other players that he wants to bring in. My God, if you look at his history from bringing players into the Bayer Leverkusen setup, the ones he was responsible for when he was at Bayer Leverkusen, just to name a few, Kevin De Bruyne on loan initially. Let me just remind you of that, on loan initially. Thomas Delaney, Jeremy Frimpong, Tapsoba, Mitchell Becker, Moussa Diaby, Patrick Schick, Florian Wirtz, Serge Gnabry. Like, look at the quality of that player. That's just to name a minor few of the players that he has sourced and brought in. And this is where he will be thrown into not the deep end, because he's now been part of West Ham for a while. He'll know the situation. He will have his book out. He will have his little black book. He'll be working through his targets, and he will know that West Ham will need to dip into the market. And I was going to title this show, Let the Panic Buying Begin, sarcastically, Let the Panic Buying Begin. And I don't think it's going to be panic buying. I think it's got to be the right acquisition. that comes to the club, that meets the standards, that meets the criteria. And I think he's going to be working on that. Let's not underestimate. So many people I hear underestimate the January transfer window. And I've said it in the videos yesterday, and I'll say it again today. Let's not underestimate the January transfer window, because you can find gems. You can absolutely find gems. Jared Bowen was a gem. Tommy Suchek was a gem. Whether you like Tommy Suchek now, he was a gem at the time, and he still continues to be a gem at West Ham. But for me, when it comes to this man, Tim Steidten, it's got to fall not just solely on his lap, but he is the player acquisition. He's the guy who's going to be going doing the deals. He's going to be the one that's going to be selling any players we've got to bring in as much finances as we possibly can, to generate as much money as we possibly can, to invest that money into the playing staff. And my word, we need to invest that into the playing staff. It is an opportunity for players to step up. Of course it is. There's no ifs or buts about it. But we've got to put the trust in Tim Steidten. We can't... listen, everyone's entitled to panic. Of course they are. But I've seen so many breakdowns amongst some of the West Ham fan base. So many breakdowns, and so many times we've come back, we've fought back, we've put the gloves on, and we've gone to round 10, round 12, and we've gone at the opposition, and we've got a result over the line. And I don't see... The difference is, yes, you've lost your dynamic trio that are up front. That's huge. It's huge. It's massive. But the more you start to compute it, the more you start to think about it, it's key that we get into the market. Got a little time on our side. We've got the Bristol City replay to happen at Ashton Gate. Then we've got Sheffield United coming up on the 21st, and we need to, in my opinion, have a couple of acquisitions, one minimum, in by that point. We need to deal with some of the issues at the club. If there are players that are going to be leaving, then they need to go soon. And I think Timmy will be doing that. Listen, when I spoke to Tim back at the Player Awards dinner back in the summer, and I said, when are we getting an acquisition? When are we bringing our first player in? And he went, give me a couple of days, right? It wasn't a couple of days, it was a couple of business working days, right? But anyway, it came in. He's working. He's doing his business. He's doing his job. And that's where we need to put the trust in. If we trust Timmy, if we trust the system, if we trust what he's been brought in to do, let's put that on him. And let's judge this situation come the 21st. Let's judge this situation come the game after the 21st. Let's judge this situation once we get into February and see where we're really at. We may be really lucky. Be really lucky that we have fallen on a window of when these players have been injured, that we don't have many games to play. But it's the longevity of how much these players will be out and how impactful that will be on the West Ham season. Who knows? But as I said, over to you, Tim Steidten. Go and produce the goods. Help us out when we need it, because we certainly do need it. Join Russie B later on for the Hammers headlines. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. Of course, leave a comment. Hope you are safe and well, as per usual. Come on, you wonderful, wonderful Irons.